بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلي وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى أهله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، تفسير الصادق عبد الرحمن بن ناصر الصحابي رحمه الله. أي نعم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سورة الواقعة. إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقتها كاذبة حافية الرافدة رجت الأرض رجا بست الجبال بسا فكانت هباء منبثا وكنتم زوج ثلاثة فأصحاب الميمنة ما أصحاب الميمنة وأصحاب المشمع ما أصحاب المشمع والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم ثلة من الأولين وقليل من الآخرين. When the inevitable comes to pass, no one will deny it. It will bring some low and raise others up. When the earth is shaken violently, and the mountains crumble and turn to scattered dust, and you are sorted into three kinds, then there will be those on the right. How blessed will be those on the right. And there will be those on the left. How rich will be those on the left. And the foremost are the foremost. It is they who will be brought near to Allah in guidance of the light, a multitude of those of old, and a few from those of later times. Here Allah tells us about the inevitable event that will inevitably come to pass. It is the resurrection, which no one will deny. That is, there is no doubt about it, because there is a rational and textual evidence for it, and divine wisdom dictates it. It will bring some low and raise others up. That is, it will bring some people to the lowest of the low and raise others to the most sublime of degrees. When the earth is shaken violently, that is when it moves and it is drawn into turmoil, and the mountains crumble and turn to scattered dust, and the earth is left with no mountains or landmarks. And he will leave the earth as a smooth, level plain in which you will see no depression or elevation. And you, O people, are sorted into three kinds. That is, you will be divided into three categories according to your deeds, good and bad. Then Allah explains further about the situation of those three categories. Then there will be those on the right. How blessed will be those on the right? This is indicative of their high status and favorable situation. And there will be those on the left. How rich will be those on the left? This is indicative of the terrible state they will be in. And the foremost are the foremost. It is they who will be brought near to Allah. That is, the foremost to do good in this world will be the first to enter paradise in the hereafter. Those who are like this will be close to Allah in guidance of the light, in the most sublime status, in lofty dwellings with no dwellings above them. Those who are mentioned here will be a multitude of those of old. That is, many from the earlier generations of this ummah and other nations, and a few from those of later next times. This is indicative of the superiority of the early generations of this ummah over its later generations in general terms, because the numbers of those who were close to Allah are greater among the early generations than among the later generations. Allah surur mawduna mutakina alayha mutaqabilin. They will be seated on well crafted coaches, reclining on them facing one another. Those who are close to Allah are elite among humankind. They will be seated on well crafted coaches. That is, coaches that are inlaid with gold and silver, pearls and jewels and other adornments that no one knows except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reclining on them, that is, on those coaches, sitting at ease and comfortably steady and firm, facing one another because of the purity of heart and good manners and the harmony among them. يطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون بأكواب وأبارك وكأس من معين لا يصدعون عنها ولا ينزفون وفواكه مما يتخيرون ولحم طير مما يشتهون. Immortal servant boys will circulate among them with cups and jugs and glasses filled from a flowing spring of wine, which will not cause any headache or intoxication, along with fruit of their choice and meat of birds that they may desire. That is, they will circulate among the people of paradise, serving them and meeting their needs, young boys who are exceedingly handsome and elegant, as if they are peerless, carefully guided, that is, concealed and not exposed to anything that could damage them. They are created to live forever, never growing older or changing. They will circulate among them with vessels of drink, with cups. The word translated here as cups refers to vessel that has no handle, and jugs, the word translated here as jugs refers to a vessel that does not have a handle. And glasses filled from a flowing spring of wine, that is, of delicious wine that will not cause any side effect to the one who drinks it, which will not cause any headache or cause the heads to hurt, as the wine of the world does to the one who drinks it, or intoxication. That is, they will not lose their minds or power of rational thinking, as happens in the case of adli wine. The point is that everything in paradise of delight that have adli content will have no negative side effects. As Allah says elsewhere, in which there are rivers of water forever fresh, rivers of milk of which and the taste or never changes, the rivers of wine, the life of those who drink it, and rivers of honey pure and clear. Here Allah mentions that to the wine of paradise and state that it has none of the negative side effects that are found in this world, along with fruit of their choice, that is whatever they choose and find appealing, and whatever their soul's desires of all kind of delicious fruit, they will acquire it in the most perfect manner, and meat of birds that they may desire, that is of every type of birds and any type of meat they want, grilled or cooked in other ways. وحور عين كامثال المكنون جزاء بما كانوا يعملون, and they will be fair companions with big beautiful eyes, as if they are pearls carefully guarded, as a reward for what they used to do. That is, they will have fair companions with big beautiful eyes, hurul ain. The word hur refers to a beautiful woman whose eyes are lined with kohl, and the word ain refers to a huge and beautiful eyes. Beautiful eyes in the female, beautiful eyes in the female is one of the greatest characteristics of beauty, and as if they are pearls carefully guarded. That is, as if they are pure, elegant white pearls, concealed from people's gaze and from the wind and sun, the color of which is one of the most beautiful of colors, and in which there is no defect at all. This is how the hurul ain. This is how the hurul ain are. They have no defect at all, and in fact they are perfect in the attributes and beautiful in their description. No matter how you look at them, you will not find anything but what is pleasing to the looker. That bliss which is prepared for them is a reward for what they used to do, just as their deeds were good. Allah has made their reward good, and He will grant them triumph and peace. لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا تأثيما إلا قيلا سلاما سلاما. They will not hear therein any vain talk or sinful speech, but only the salutation, peace, peace. That is in the gardens of delight. They will not hear any idle talk. In that place they will be nothing that is of no benefit, and no words that are sinful, but only the solution, peace, peace. That is, they will only hear good words, for that is the abode of the good, and there will be nothing in it but everything that is good. This is indicative of the good manners of the people of paradise when they address one another, and that it will be the best and most pleasing of speech, that is most free of idle and sinful talk. We ask Allah for His grace. وأصحاب اليمين ما أصحاب اليمين في سدر مقدود وتله ممدود ودل ممدود وماء مسكوب وفاكهة كثيرة لا مقطوعة ولا ممنوعة وفرش مرفوعة. Those on the right, how blessed will be those on the right. They will be amidst dauntless lot trees and banana trees laden with fruit, and shade along extended, and flowing water, and fruit in abundance, never seeing and never restricted, and race coaches relying thereon with their spouses. Then Allah speaks of the bliss of those on the right. Those on the right, how blessed will be those on the right. That is how great their status and how high their meaning. They will be amidst dauntless low trees. That is, all thorns and harmful branches will have been removed from them and replaced with good fruits. One of the qualities of the low tree is that it gives cool shade and offers comfort. And banana tree is laden with fruit. The banana tree is well known. It is a tree that produces delicious fruits and flowing water, that is abundant water coming from springs, meandering rivers, and gushing water, and fruit in abundance, never existing and never restricted. That is, it is not like the fruit of this world, which is from time to time and may be restricted. That is difficult to acquire. For those who want them, rather the fruits of paradise will be constantly available and close at hand, so that a person may easily take them. Whether he is standing, sitting, or lying down, and rest coaches, that is rest up of the ground. These coaches will be made of silk, gold, pearls, and such things as no one knows except Allah. إنا أنشأناهن إنشاء فجعلناهن أبكارا وربنا ترابا ليستبين ثلث من الأولين وثلث من الآخرين. We shall indeed have created them their spouse anew and perfect, and shall have made them virgins, loving and of equal age. For those on the right, a multitude of those of old, and multitude from those of later times. We shall indeed have created them their spouses anew and perfect. That is, we shall have created the wives of the people of paradise in a form other than their earthly form, perfect and not subject to death. And we shall have made them virgins, that is, both young and old. This general wording includes both the Hurul Ain and the women who live in this world. This description of being virgins will be constant, and that will be their state at all times, just as they will remain loving and of equal age at all times. The word translated here as loving The word translated here as loving refers to the woman who is affectionate and tries to endure herself to her husband with nice words, beautiful appearance, soft talk, beauty, and love. When she speaks, she enchants the listener, who wishes that her words will never end, especially when she sings pleasant tunes in a delightful voice. And when her husband looks at her good manners and gentle characteristic, his heart is filled with joy and happiness. When she moves from one place to another, that place is filled with her beautiful fragrance and light. That includes coquettish behavior when engaging in intercourse. Of equal age, the age in question is 33, which is the prime age, the end of youth. Their wives will be loving and of equal age, living in harmony and getting along with one another, content and pleasing to others, not grieving nor causing grief. Rather, they will bring joy to the heart and be delight to the eyes. For those on the right, that is, they are prepared for them. A multitude of those of old and multitude from those of later times. That is, this category of those on the right will be a large number from the other generations, and a large number from the later generations. وأصحاب الشمال ما أصحاب الشمال في سموم وحميم ودل من يهموم لا بارد ولا كريم إنهم كانوا قبل ذلك مترفين وكانوا يسرون على الهند القديم وكانوا يقولون إذا متنا وكنا ترابا وإذا إنا لمبعوثون وآباؤنا الأولون. And those on the left, how rich will be those on the left? They will be in the midst of scorching wind and scalding water, in the shade of black smoke, neither cool nor wholesome. Verily, before that they lived a life of luxury and persisted in the gravest sin. They used to say, "What when we died and have turned into dust and bones, will we really be raised up, and our forefathers too?" What is meant by those on the left are the inhabitants of the fire, the people of the burdens. The people of burdens, Allah describes the punishment they deserve and tells us that they will be in the midst of scorching wind, which is a hellishly hot wind that will take their souls and make them extremely distressed, and scalding water, that is hot water that will cut their boils, in the shade of black smoke, that is flames mixed with smoke, neither cool nor wholesome. What is meant is that there will be distress, anguish, grief, and suffering in which there is nothing good, because the negation of a thing is affirmation of its opposite. Then Allah mentions their deeds that brought them to this requital. Verily, before that they lived a life of luxury. That is, they were distracted by their worldly life. They strove for it, enjoyed it, and reveled in it. So their hope for a long life kept them from doing good deeds. This life of luxury is what Allah condemns them for, and persisted in the gravest sin. That is, they used to commit major sins and not repent from them to regret them. Rather, they persisted in that which angered their Lord. Then they come to Him with many burdens of unforgiven sins, and they used to deny their resurrection. So they would say, thinking it unlikely, "What when we have died and have turned into dust and bones? Will we really be raised up, and our forefathers too? That is how can we be resurrected after we have died and our bodies have disintegrated and we have turned into dust and bones? This is impossible. Will we really be raised up, and our forefathers too?" Allah said in response to them and refuting them, قل إن الأولين والآخرين لمجموعون إلى ميقات يوم معلوم. Say, Muhammad, verily, those of old and those of later times, who will be gathered on a predetermined day. That is, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah will resurrect all of mankind, both the early and the later generations, and He will gather them on a predetermined day that Allah has ready for His slaves. After all creatures die, it is Allah's will to require them for their deeds that they did in the realm of accountability. ثم إنكم يدرون مكذبون لا يكون بشر من زاكم فما لهن من البطون فشربون لهم من الحميم فشربون شرب الهيم هذا نزلهم يوم الدين. We will surely eat from the tree of Zakun, filling your bellies with it, and drinking scalding water on top of it, drinking like dusty camels. This will be their welcome, or this will be their welcome on the day of judgment. Within you, O misguided Nas, who have gone astray from the path of guidance and followed the path of misguidance, and have denied the Messenger sallallahu and what he brought of truth and of promises and warnings, will surely eat from the tree of Zakum, which is the slightest and the vilest of trees, which with the fullest stench and the most hideous appearance, filling your bellies with it. What will force them to eat from it, despite being so repugnant, is extreme anger that will burn in their bellies, as out of which they will almost die. This food which is all of that they will have to ward off the hunger is food that does not provide any nourishment or assuage hunger. As for their drink, it will be the worst of drink. On top of that food, they will drink scalding water that will be boiled in their bellies, They will drink it like a dusty camels that are suffering the most intense of dust, or are sick, afflicted with a disease that causes dust that is never quenched by drinking water. This food and drink will be their welcome on the day of judgment. It is the welcome that they have sent ahead for themselves and given precedence over what with which Allah will welcome His close friends. Then Allah mentions rational proof for the resurrection. نحن خلقناهم فلا تصدقون. It is who created you. Why then do you not believe that we can raise you from the dead? That is, it is we who brought you into being after you are nothing worth mentioning, without becoming weary or tired in the process. Is not the one who is able to do that also able to give life of the dead? Indeed, He is able to do all things. He is a rebuke to them for not believing in the resurrection, when they are able to see that which is greater and more significant than it. أفرأيتم ما تمنون أأنتم تخلقونه أم نحن الخالقون نحن قدرنا بينكم الموت وما المسبوقين على أن نبدل أمثالكم ونشيئكم فيما لا تعلمون وكذلك نشأة الأولى فلا تذكرون. Have you brought about the semen that you emit? Is it you who create a human being from it, or are we the creator? It is we who have already dead among you, and our decree cannot be escaped. For we replace you with others like you. Then after death, on the death resurrection, will recreate you in a manner unknown to you. Ainam. You are well aware of the first creation. Why then do you not pay heed? That is, have you thought about the beginning of your creation? From the semen that you emit, are you the creators of the semen and what grows from it? Or is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, who creates in you the desire and the guidance, male and female, and guides each of them to each other, and creates love, compassion, and mercy between the spouses, which are the means of protection? Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala points out the first creation is evidence for the second creation, and says you are all aware of the first creation. Why then do you not pay heed, unless that the one who is able to initiate your creation is also able to recreate you? أفرأيتم ما تحرثون أأنتم تزرعون أم نحن الزارعون لو نشاء لجعلناه هدى فظلتم تفكرون إنا لمغرمون بل نحن محرومون. Have you thought about the seeds you sow? Is it you who caused them to grow, or is it who make them grow? If we will so will, we could cause them to crumble. Then you will be left wondering and lamenting. We are ruined. In fact, we are destitute. He is a reminder of His blessing to His slaves, calling them thereby to behave in His oneness, worship Him and turn to Him, as He has blessed them with that which He has made available to them of the seeds that they sow in order to grow crops and fruit. From those seeds comes suitable foods, provision fruit, which are essential to their needs and well-being. These are blessings that they cannot count, let alone give sufficient thanks for them. Therefore, He reminds them of His blessings and asks them to affirm them. It is you who cause them to grow, or is it we who make them grow? That is it you who bring them forth as a plant from the ground? Is it you who cause them to grow? Is it you who bring forth the ears of corn and the fruits, and cause them to grow until they are ripe and ready for harvest? Or is Allah who alone does all that and bestows these blessings upon you? The most that you do is still and plough the soil and draw the seed into it. Then you have knowledge of what will happen after that, and you have no ability to do more than that. Moreover, Allah points out to them that the seed is exposed to anger, were it not for His keeping it safe for them in order to meet their needs and give them some joy. For a limited time hence, He says, if He so will, we could cause them, that is the crops and fruits, to crumble, that is to shrivel and die, thus bringing into benefit and no provision. Then you will be left as a result of its crumbling after all the effort you had put into it and all the money you had spent on it, wondering and lamenting, that is feeling regret and sorrow for what we had before you. which took away your joy and happiness. And you will say, we are ruined, that is, we have suffered a setback and been stricken by a calamity that has destroyed us. Then you will acknowledge the extent of the calamity that had befallen you, and you will say, in fact, we are destitute. So praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having preserved your crops for you, caused them to survive and made them reach maturity, and for not sending upon them a blight that will deprive you of the benefit and goodness. أفرأيتم الماء الذي تشربون أنتم أنزلتم من المزن أم نحن منزلون لو نشاء لجعلناه جنة فلولا تشكرون. Have you thought about the water that you drink? Is it you who bring it down from the clouds, or is it you who sends it down? If we so willed, we could make it salty and bitter. Why then do you not give thanks? Having mentioned the blessing of food that he bestows upon his slaves, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now mentions the blessing of water that he bestows upon them, from which they drink. Were it not for Allah making it easily available for them, they will have no way to obtain it. For it is He who sends it down from the clouds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends it down, and from it come rivers that flow on the surface of the earth and underground, and produce gushing springs and steams. Part of the blessing is that He makes it fresh and palatable. If He so will, He could make it salty and bitter, and pleasant to drink and of no benefit. Why then do you not give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessing that He has bestowed upon you? أينام أفرأيتم النار التي تؤرون أنتم أنشأتم شجرتها أم نحن منشئون نحن جعلناها تذكرة ومتاعا للمقوين فسبح اسم ربك العظيم. Have you thought about the fire that you do you cause the tree which provides the fire to grow, or do we have made it a remainder and a benefit for desert dwellers and the wayfarers, to so glorify the name of your Lord, the Most Great. This is a blessing that is one of the essentials that people cannot do without. People need it for many things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them to affirm the blessing of fire which He created from trees. For people are not able to make the trees grow. Rather, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who makes the green trees grow. Then the wood is used for fire that is lit according to people's need. Then when they no longer need it, they extinguish it. We have made it a reminder to people of the blessings of their Lord, and a reminder of the fire of hell which Allah has prepared for those who disobey Him, and He has made it a warning to motivate people to aspire to paradise, and a benefit for desert dwellers and wayfarers. Allah singles out wayfarers for mention because they benefit from it more than others. Perhaps the reason for that is that this world is all a place of travel. From the time a person is born, he is traveling toward his Lord. So Allah has made a fire benefit for wayfarers and travelers in this world, and a reminder to them of the hereafter. Inam. Having highlighted the blessings that require people to praise Allah for them, give thanks to Him and worship Him, He instructed them to glorify and praise Him. So glorify the name of your Lord, the Most Great. That is, glorify your Lord, the Most Great, who has the most perfect names and attributes, and is immensely kind and generous. Praise Him in your heart and with your words and actions, for He is deserving of that. He deserves to be thanked and not shown in gratitude, to be remembered and not forgotten, to be obeyed and not disobeyed. فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم إنه لقرآن كريم في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون تنزيل من رب العالمين أفبهذا الذي أنتم مدهنون وترزقنكم تكذبون. Verily I swear by the position of the stars, and verily it is indeed a mighty oath, if you only knew. That is indeed a noble and bounteous Quran, in a book well preserved, which no one can touch except the purified, a revelation from the Lord of the worlds. Do you then take this discourse, the Quran, lightly, and instead of thanking Allah for the provision He bestows, you disbelieve and show ingratitude? Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says by the stars and their position, that is where they sit, and what Allah brings about of event and at those times that are indicative of His might, pride and oneness. Then He shows how great is the matter by which He saw this out, as He says, and verily it is indeed a mighty oath, if you only knew. This oath is only mighty because in the stars, in the stars and their movement across the sky and their sitting there are innumerable signs. The fact that is attested by the oath is the audacity of the Quran, for it is undoubtedly true. It's also noble that it contains much good and abundant knowledge. For all that is good and all knowledge is only learned and read from the book of Allah, in a book well preserved, that is concealed from the eyes of people. This well preserved book is Allahul Mahfud. In other words, this Quran is written in Allahul Mahfud, held in high esteem by Allah and by the angels among those on high. It may be that what is meant by the well-preserved book is the book that is in the hands of the angels whom Allah sends down with his revelation, and that what is meant is that he protected it from the devils who have no power to change it or to add anything to it, or take anything away from it, or to eavesdrop on it, which no one can touch except the purified. That is, no one can touch the Quran except the noble angels whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has purified and made free of all faults and sins. If no one touches it, but the purified and the evil people and devils cannot touch it. This verse indicates and implies that it is not permissible for anyone to touch the Quran except one who is in the state of purity, as in mentioned in the hadith. Hence it was said that this verse is a statement that implies a prohibition. In other words, no one should touch the Quran except the one who is in a state of purity. A revelation from the Lord of the worlds, that is this Quran which is described in these sublime times, is a revelation from the Lord of the worlds, who takes care of his slaves by bestowing his blessings, both spiritual and worldly. One of the most important aspects of his caring for his slaves is his revelation of this Quran, which guides to that which is in the best interest of people in both dreams. Thus Allah bestowed mercy thereby upon his slaves, for which they cannot give sufficient thanks. This requires them to adhere to it and proclaim it, and to call people to it and convey it to them. Hence Allah says, do you then take this discourse, the Quran, lightly? That is, do you take this great book and wise remain lightly? In other words, do you compromise and try to misinterpret it for fear of people and their criticism and sharp words? This is not befitting and is not appropriate. Rather, what is appropriate is to compromise and take the words of someone whom you do not trust. As for the Holy Quran, it is the truth which no one opposes, but he will be defeated, and no one promotes it, but he will prevail over others. It is something concerning which there should be no compromise, and which should not be hidden. Rather, it should be announced and proclaimed to people. And instead of thanking Allah for the prohibition he bestows, you disbelieve and show gratitude. That is, in response to Allah's blessing upon you of bestowing prohibition, do you disbelieve and show gratitude for the blessings of Allah, and say you got trained by virtue of such and such star, and you attribute the blessing to a source other than the one who bestowed it and granted it to you? Why do you not give thanks to Allah for his blessings, as Allah sent down the Quran to you to increase you in grace and bounty, whereas rejection and ingratitude lead to removal of blessings and the affliction of punishment? فلولا إذا بلغت الحلقوم وأنتم حينئذ تنظرون ونحن أقرب إليه منكم ولكن لا تبصرون فلولا إن كنتم غير مدينين ترجعونها إن كنتم صادقين. Then why do you not intervene when the soul of the dying person reaches the throat, whereas you are looking on, when we are nearer to him than you, but do not see? So why do you not, if you think you will not be requited, bring back that soul if you are telling the truth? That is, why do you not intervene when the departing soul reaches the throat, and you are looking at the dying person when he is in that state? In fact, we are closer to him by our knowledge, and our angels are closer to him, but you do not see. So why do you not, if you think you will not be requited? That is, why do you not, if you claim that you will not be resurrected and you will not be brought to account or requited, restore that soul to its body if you are telling the truth, but you admit that you are unable to restore it to its place? In that case, either you should accept the truth and that has been brought to you by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or you should be stubborn, and thus your fate and bad aid will be known. فأما إن كان من المقربين فروح وريحان وجنة نعيم، وأما إن كان من أصحاب اليمين فسلام لك من أصحاب اليمين، وأما إن كان من المكذبين الضالين فنزول من حميم وتسلية الجحيم، إن هذا لهو الحق اليقين فسبح باسم ربك العظيم. Then if it's one of the foremost who are brought near to Allah, for him there will be rest, fragrance, and a garden of bliss. If it's one of those who if he is one of those on the right, it will be said to him, peace be upon you, for you are one of those on the right. But if it's one of the misguided deniers, then he will be welcomed with scalding water, and he will burn in hell. Verily, this is absolute truth. So glorify the name of your Lord, the Most Great. At the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the situation of three groups: the foremost, who are brought nearer to Allah, those on the right, and the misguided disbelievers, and how they will be in the hereafter. Here at the end of the surah, he describes how they will be at the time of death. Then if he, namely the dying person, is one of the foremost who are brought nearer to Allah. These are the ones who did obligatory and recommended actions, and refrain from prohibited and disliked actions, and avoid unnecessary indulgence in permissible actions. For him there will be rest, that is repose, reassurance, happiness, joy, and delight of the heart and soul. Fragrance, the word translated here as fragrance, is a word which includes physical pleasure such as all kinds of food, drink, and so on. It is also said that this word refers to a particular saint and a garden of bliss that comprises both rest and fragrance, in which there is that which no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor has it ever crossed the mind of a man. So these glad tidings are given to the foremost at the time of death, which make their souls almost soar with happiness and joy. This is like the passage in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Verily those who say, Our Lord is Allah, then remain steadfast. To them the angels will come down at the time of death, saying, Fear not, nor grieve, but receive the glad things of paradise, which you are promised. We have been your close friends in the life of this world, and will remain so in the hereafter. There you will have all that your souls desire, and there you will have all that you ask for, a recompense from one who is of forgiving, the most merciful. If is one of those on the right, they are the ones who did obligatory duties and refrain from that which was prohibited, even if they fell short in some duties that do not undermine their faith and believe in Allah's oneness. It will be said to one of them, Peace be upon you, for you are the one of those on the right. It will be said to him, Now you are safe from troubles, problems, and punishment, because you are one of those on the right who are kept safe from sins that incurred you. But if it's one of the misguided deniers, that is, those who rejected the truth and went astray from the right guidance, then he will be welcomed with scalding water, and he will burn in hell. That is their welcome. On the day when they come to their Lord, will be burning in hell, which will compass them and reach their hearts. If they seek help due to a severe dust, they will be given water like boiling dregs of oil that will scald their faces. What a dreadful drink, and what a miserable resting place. Verily this Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the request of his slaves for their deeds, both good and bad, and the details thereof, is absolute truth, concerning which there can be no doubt. Rather, it is established truth that will inevitably come to pass. Allah has presented his slave with a definitive evidence to that effect, to the extent that for people of understanding, it is as if they can taste it and see it. Therefore, they praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for singling them out for this great blessing. Hence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, So glorify the name of your Lord, the most great, so glorified be to Allah, the Almighty Lord, the exalted, be he far above all the wrongdoers. And then I say, Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, much good and blessed praise. This is the end of the commentary on the Soorat Al-Waaqiah. All praise and thanks are for Allah, and may the praise and peace of Allah be